CNAs out there, that is probably one of the hardest nursing professions out there. And I worked with a lot of nurses, RNs, who sucked. They're lazy. They would tell me what to do. They delegate everything. And that's when I really said, you know what? I could do this 1,000 times better. What's up, guys? Welcome to Hormones Happen. I'm your neighborhood NP, Jeremiah, and I'll tell you what, we've been lied to, tricked, and brainwashed to be reactive with our health instead of proactive. There's no such thing as normal, and no one knows you better than, well, you. Stick around, and we'll talk about hormones, peptides, and other amazing advancements in proactive medicine. I won't sit here and say I know everything, but like they say, knowledge is power, and I'm trying to become more powerful every day, just like you. Let's get optimized together and become the heroes of our own stories. Welcome back, guys, to another episode of Hormones Happen. Today's going to be a little different. I'm not going to talk about hormones. I'm not going to talk about peptides. And I'm not going to talk about weight loss. I'm going to talk about, drumroll, me. So I've been asked a lot, guys, what made me leave my W-2 job and decide to start my own clinic? Is it as scary as everyone makes it sound? Is it easier than people make it sound? And does it take a special person to do it? Well, I'm going to answer those questions, guys, because I think it's something that's important for you to know. And so starting the journey, it starts with me and what led me to this point to decide, hey, you know what? I need some change. I want to do something better than anyone else. That's the thought I do have. And that's what I truly believe that I can do. Now, I've been in healthcare for a long time, guys. I was a CNA. I was an EMT. I was an RN, and now I'm an NP. And I will say that I have been burnt out probably since the beginning. It's easy to get burnt out as a CNA. For any CNAs out there, that is probably one of the hardest nursing professions out there. And I worked with a lot of nurses, RNs, who sucked. They're lazy. They would tell me what to do. They delegate everything. And that's when I really said, you know what? I could do this 1,000 times better. And so put your money where your mouth is. Go back to school. Do it. School was hard. It was very difficult for me. I barely made it, but I made it. I kept going. And once I was done, I felt somewhat rejuvenated, right? I was like, new start. My background's predominantly critical care, mostly different types of ICU. I loved the adrenaline. It gave me a thrill. But I was never good at expressing it or, I guess, decompressing. It all just kind of boiled up inside of me, I guess. And I'm sure my cortisol levels were just destroyed. It's definitely not good for me. And I did that for a long time until I was just burnt out again, just horribly. I worked with a lot of physicians, NPs, PAs. I saw the stuff they did, what seemed unattainable, that I'm just not smart enough, can't do it. I started to think, it doesn't seem that hard. I think I can do that. And eventually it became, no, I can definitely do that. So I went back to school for NP, which I'm not going to lie, was a little bit easier, in my opinion, than going to school for nursing because it's more your own pace. And at that point, I had a goal. I was already driven, whereas through nursing school, I was still kind of unsure what I wanted to do. When I got into NP school, I wasn't there to make friends, head down, hit the books, and just get through it because I had goals and aspirations. Well, finished that, got a really great job working for the state. It was a government job, loved it. I really thought I was going to be there for 30, 40 years, collect a nice pension, and that was the end of the story. But the reality is, I still got burnt out. I was just done. Primary care, brutal. I had such a hard time with it. It's all protocols. It's all doing what Guidelines tell you, the studies, there's places that it's beneficial, but it never sat right with me just to go down these decision-making trees through UpToDate and just prescribe these medications mindlessly, essentially. I didn't like it. And then the second thing was, in the back of my head, I just had this voice just saying, this isn't it. This can't be the end of your story, dude. This is not what you're going to do the rest of your life. I couldn't do it. And I tried to get into investing. I was putting money into a Roth IRA, 401, just looking at the money thinking, hey, you know what? When I'm 65 and a half, I'm going to be set. And the reality is, I don't think that's the case. I really don't. Because I really lost sight of what's most valuable. It's not money, it's time. I kept looking into the future saying, hey, once I retire, it's like, it's not guaranteed that I'm going to retire. It's not guaranteed I'm going to live to 65 and a half. I could die tomorrow. I could die right now on this podcast. That'd be tragic. But the reality is, I said, no, there's got to be more. I want to start having some control over my life. Not just that, but I want to have some autonomy in how I practice and what I practice. I didn't find enjoyment in primary care. I didn't. And I really tried to live and breathe it. I was always studying extra. I was staying late at work. I was doing all these additional educations I didn't have to do. I was one of those certification princesses where I get every certification you could for no reason. I just thought, why? I don't enjoy this. I kept trying to fill this void with just more bullshit. And so when I was going through nursing school and NP, I was just like, I never want to start my own practice. That's terrifying. There's too much risk. I want a steady W-2 job. I know how much I'm going to get, a steady income, health insurance, benefits. That's what I want. That's what I need. I need stability. But the reality is, there's no such thing. I couldn't tell you exactly what happened. Eventually, these voices in the back of my head, I'm not crazy, guys, just got louder and louder. And they just said, look, you got to get out of there. And I think the catalyst was I injured myself at work. I was responding to a code. We were pushing a stretcher, and the stretcher got caught in these rails at work, jammed into my knee and tore my MCL. I was on workman's comp for a week. I had to get an MRI. I was torn, did some physical therapy. And I remember just thinking, man, I'm going to get hurt working for someone else. I'm going to get hurt padding someone else's pockets here. I was like, if I get crippled on the job, that's it, man. They'll replace me the next day. I'm expendable. I have no value here. My wage is my worth. That's what a year of my time is worth, is whatever you're getting paid per year, that's what they value a year of your life. And that's when I just decided, you know what?
Enjoying the podcast? There's plenty more where that came from. Head over to stillcity-trt.com for expert insights, tips, and everything you need to know about HRT and TRT. Now let's dive back in.
Let's start this process. It was scary, and I just went into it head first. I wasn't even really prepared. Super simple, so much more simple than I thought, right? To get your actual business up and running, it's super simple here in Colorado. That's where I'm living. Colorado, it just go to the Secretary of State, $50, boom. You are a business owner. You get your EIN, you get a business credit card. They hand these things out like hotcakes because they hope you overspend on that credit card, and then they charge you criminal interest rates. Super simple up to that point. Now it's like, what am I going to do? What do I want to do? What am I passionate about? I've always loved hormones. I've always loved athletics. I've always gone to the gym. I've always watched MMA. I love blood sports, violence, right? And so I was like, the TRT clinic. Hell yeah, I've been wanting to get on TRT for the longest freaking time. But if I ever talk to my PCP about it, they're going to lose their shit. So it's always just been one of those things that I've always wanted to do, but never have done it. And so I said, that's what I'm going to do. And believe it or not, I had no education in it, no training. If you are in primary care and you hear TRT, you want to hit your head against the wall because you're like, crap, I don't know what to test for. I don't know how often to test. It's just going to be these kids wanting to get on anabolics to build their muscles up for sports. You don't know. And it's so impossible to treat hypogonadism in the primary care setting appropriately. Not at the fault of the provider, at a fault of the systems. And so first step, education, right? But this time it was education with a purpose. I was obsessed. I took up every piece of literature I could. There's a lot of expensive courses out there that you can take. Screw that. You don't need an expensive course. The information's out there, guys. At this point in time, if you're not leveraging ChatGPT and online sources, that's on you. Fine. Google Scholar, whatever. It doesn't matter. The information's out there, right? If several different sources say the same thing, it's true. It doesn't matter where it comes from. But I educated myself. I talked to a lot of people. I know people dog on Reddits and threads, but hey, when people are saying this stuff, people that have done it, that's more valuable to me than whatever some textbook from 1940 says. So I did a lot of education, podcasts, tons of different podcasts out there. That's one of the reasons I started this one. And I was like, okay, I don't necessarily feel ready, but let's go. Let's rock and roll. You're never going to feel ready. That's the reality. So you get a physical location. Highly recommend it. If you're all telehealth, that's going to be a struggle because without a physical location, guess what? You don't get Google reviews. Google reviews are huge. You want to be found on Google. So I did a hybrid model. I do predominantly telehealth, but I do have a physical location where I'll see people and I will do things in the office. It's a very simple setup. It's not like a full-blown medical clinic where we're doing Botox and all these crazy procedures. No procedures at all. We're talking face-to-face. When you're prescribing controls, you got to make sure you have a DEA license. You got to get that for your clinic. Technically, every clinic you own has to have its own DEA license. Telehealth's simple, right? And my philosophy was start cheap because if it fails, you're not out a bunch of money. I'd say it probably took at most $10,000 to get started. That includes paying the lease for the location off in full for a year, the furniture, all of my licensure that I needed, and advertisement, everything. So I'd say $10,000, you should be in a good spot, depending on where you live and what kind of practice you wanted. Mine started very humble. You just go. That first patient's going to be very nerve-wracking because you're overthinking everything. You're overanalyzing everything. You look at the labs and you've looked at millions of labs up to this point, but you're second-guessing yourself, thinking, should I do this? Should he be on testosterone? And it's just so crazy. I think back to when I first started to now, it's wild. The things I would perseverate on or I would get hung up on, it's nothing now because I've seen it so many times. You see something so many times, it eventually just becomes, oh, that's normal or not normal. Think about all the times you see a specialist. Half the time you just go see a specialist so they can say, oh, that's normal, not supposed to be like that. And everyone else is freaking out about it. But the reality is I don't do insurance. It's cash-based only. And a lot of people said, Jeremiah, that's a horrible idea. You need to take insurance. Look at your location, right? High Medicaid population. You need to take insurance. Well, guess what, guys? Medicaid ain't going to treat your low testosterone. It depends. Like primary practice, I would justify that direct primary care is probably also a better idea than insurance. But I know plenty of people who do their own private insurance companies, their own private primary care practices with insurance. They're thriving. So it was a personal choice because once again, let's not forget, one of the things that drove me the craziest at work was primary care, but being told what to do all the time, right? Jeremiah, you can go to lunch at this time. Jeremiah, you can't leave yet. Jeremiah, you got to do this. You got to do these reviews, whatever. Eventually, I was just sick of it. Just too many people telling you what to do. And anyone that's worked for the government, you understand exactly how many bosses you have, and you probably don't because there's 1,000 up the chain. So I didn't want to have to answer to insurance companies of all people because that was just going to be a freaking headache. So cash base was the way to go. And it's slow growing with cash base because you really have to justify why don't we take insurance? Because people pay their premiums on insurance and they want to get some stuff covered. But the reality is oftentimes it's more expensive. I can't tell you how many times people have paid more for maybe a simple procedure like an X-ray or an MRI after insurance than just going to an imaging center themselves and paying for it. Prime example is my wife. We had to get an x-ray of her knee. Went through insurance. I think they charged insurance $2,000. Insurance covered a majority of it. We paid $700 for a 4-view x-ray of her knee. Well, guess what? She needed an x-ray of the other knee. I said, no, we're not doing insurance, not again. I'm going to go ahead and we're just going to get an order for it. Boom. $100 for the same thing. MRI, I think we paid $400 for an MRI. Just crazy out-of-pocket prices. You oftentimes pay more with insurance than without. And I had good insurance too. It wasn't shitty insurance. It was insurance through my employer, through the state, government entity. This was a good insurance, but it just sucks all the way around. So I'm able to really spread my message. I'm able to deliver the care that I want to, but I'm able to say what I want, how I want, when I want. And it gives me a lot of latitude because, to be honest, I'd say 90% of the people in my clinic wouldn't even qualify for treatment through insurance, yet alone breach the subject with their provider. It's going to be an uphill battle. Typically, most of my patients have already tried that. It's tragically failed. They think that there's no other options, and then they reach out to me. So what are some pain points, or I guess some specific things that I could recommend to someone else in a similar situation? I would say number one, network. I work with 25 plus different compounding pharmacies. And people freak out. Oh, why the hell do you work with so many pharmacies? What's wrong with you? Hormones are tricky, guys, and things are always changing. To stay up to date, check out the blog on stillcity-trt.com. Now back to the podcast. Shit happens, guys. Things happen. Natural disasters happen. And if the whole East Coast is down, well, guess what? I'm going to the West Coast. But the reality is the show goes on. Natural disasters will happen. Shipping delays will happen. Production delays will happen. But I need to be able to pivot. You always have to have a backup plan. And it's not just pharmacies. It's with labs. It's with supplies. It's with everything. You have to have plan A, B, C, and so on and so forth, because things are great when they go according to plan. But when things don't go according to plan, things suck. And the reality is, the patient doesn't need to know that. I don't want the patient to know things are sucking over here. The patient's already got enough on their plate. They need to know things are going great. And I don't want their process to be impeded on because of what's going on in the background. That's my job. So by having multiple pharmacies, multiple vendors, building good connections with them, that's key. Because there are some pharmacies out there, shady, avoid them. One thing I can also tell you is if you're going purely based off price, you're going to get screwed. Cheap, you can't have something cheap and something high quality at the same time. And so you have to really be careful, because oftentimes these pharmacies will try to lure you in with pricing alone. They'll say, look, man, we can get you semaglutide for dirt cheap. But you know what that product's going to be? Dirt cheap. So you really have to wonder, do you want your brand? Do you want your name to be attached to that? And at the end of the day, you can lose tons of money. That's fine. But you can't afford to lose a shred of reputation, right? And that is something that Warren Buffett himself used to say, guys. So the reality is, when you're starting out your clinic with whatever it may be, reputation's huge. Customer service, huge. I get people from other clinics reach out to me all the time, NPs, PAs, from other clinics and in other states. They'll say, what is the best service that I can provide to someone, to my patients? The best service, if you had to choose one. And I say, well, you know what, guys? The best service, believe it or not, is 100% free. It's customer service, because that's it, man. You would be surprised how much please, thank you, how's it going, just actually being personable goes. It's amazing to me. It's amazing when you actually just flip the script on medicine and you can just be an actual person. It goes so far. And that's another benefit to being cash-based. I'm not seeing 30 patients a day, right? I don't have 3,000 patients on my service. I can afford to spend time with patients. Sometimes the patients will be like, Jeremiah, Jesus Christ, you're talking too long. I need to get out of here. Sorry, I go off on tangents. I can't help it. That's why I have the podcast. But the reality is, people deserve that time. I can't tell you how many times I've had an appointment and someone says, no one has ever gone over labs like this with me. Not just hormone labs, but all their labs, right? CMP, CBC, lipid panel. We go in depth because I assume they've never really been talked to about their labs in depth. Because believe it or not, I've been in that primary care role. I know how it is. It's volume, get it through. And you're right. We didn't have time. We had to be real quick. We had to go ahead and decide what's wrong. What are we going to treat it with? We'll see you in 6 months. And that was it. So now I actually take advantage of the fact that let's really do a deep dive. I want you to know what's going on inside of your body, right? Because we have the ability to do it. Have a little Keurig in the little waiting room of the office. Grab a coffee. Let's talk about this. It's the best decision that I've ever made. Let's get real for a second. Yeah, aging happens, but feeling exhausted, struggling with sleep, losing your edge in the bedroom, and watching your confidence tank, that's not just getting older. That's a hormonal imbalance, and you don't have to live with it. They'll tell you hormones are dangerous, but hand you a prescription with a mile-long list of effects. Enough is enough, guys. At Steel City HRT and Weight Loss, we cut through the noise. We offer safe, bioidentical hormone therapy customized to you and backed by real lab monitoring and personalized care. Because your health isn't one size fits all. If you're done with the BS and ready to feel like yourself again, strong, focused, and confident, call or text us at 719-669-4223. Let's build a plan that actually works for you. Steel City HRT and Weight Loss. Be the hero of your own story. Are there pain points? Always. Is there always a concern that it can fail? Well, that's debatable because it's only going to fail if you let it. The business isn't going to fail you, but you can fail the business. And the biggest battle anyone's going to have starting your own business, whether it's in medicine, welding, landscaping, is going to be imposter syndrome, essentially. It's going to be self-doubt. But you could go to the mirror, point a finger at yourself and say, you're the man, or the woman, you're the woman. You can do this. These people are wrong. You know what you're doing. You could pep talk all day. It doesn't mean anything. If you really want to beat self-doubt, you have to put your head down and you have to build evidence. You have to build that workload that is just irrefutable proof that you can do what you say you're going to do. You are who you say you are. When you have self-doubt, it just means you're not working hard enough, because you work hard and you look back and you say, holy crap, I have come so far. I cannot believe it. It's amazing. You got to sometimes slow down and enjoy the process because it moves quick. And so I know a lot of people are on the fence because people reach out to me all the time saying, hey, I've been wanting to do this for a long time. I'm so miserable at work. I'm crying in my car before and after work. I'm so stressed out. This should never be the case, guys. This is why medicine has such a bad taste in its mouth, because it's an abusive field and it's dictated by 1,000 bosses who aren't even on the front lines. I recommend anyone who wants to get their own clinic to just do it. Just don't overthink it. I say build up, make sure you have your personal finances in place first, because that's going to help a lot. Dedicate some, I'd say $5,000 to $10,000 to starting the clinic up, and make sure that you're not going to go above that. Say, this is my limit. So don't buy the fanciest chairs. Don't buy the most expensive things. The artwork in my office, I got it at the Arc. It's beautiful. I love it though. It doesn't have to be expensive. No one even looks at the artwork. I don't think anyone's looked at it. It's just there, right? It's just to fill space. They're talking to me. The value isn't the artwork on the wall. It's not the chair. It's the conversation, because it's not me. This isn't about me. This is about them. When you have that patient in front of you, they are the hero of the story. You are the guide to help them. Don't flip that script. You're not the hero. You're not special. They're special. You help them with their problem. And it doesn't matter what things look like on that point. Eventually, as we continue to grow, I'm going to have more services. I'm going to have a much more aesthetically pleasing office, but I'm never going to do that so quickly that I put the clinic at risk, because my first and foremost priority is my patients, right? My patients are my number one priority, and this clinic providing them so much care is providing them so much help that I'm not going to ever do anything to jeopardize that lifeline. So if you guys have questions, feel free to message Hormones Happen at stillcity-trt.com. Whether you're an NP, PA, MD, DO, whatever, let me know, because I've been there. I've done it. I made a lot of mistakes. I've had a lot of stressful times, but we've persevered. And the reality is you can too. So although this was a little bit off topic, even if you're not a provider and you're a patient, I want you to know this too, because it's important that you also know, like, hey, what's going on behind the scenes, right? What got me where I'm at here? Because during our appointments, of course, we're going to talk about you. That's what I care about. But now you have a little bit of an insight about me and what's going on this end. So we'll see how this does. If people really take to this kind of format, this kind of content, I'll start putting out more. I'm going to let you guys be a litmus test on that. But as usual, guys, stay optimized. That's a wrap on today's episode of Hormones Happen. I hope you're walking away with some clarity and confidence. If this resonated with you, let's keep the conversation going. Connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, or over on the blog. And if you haven't yet subscribed yet, go ahead. It's the easiest way to keep growing and learning. As always, we believe in your power to heal, thrive, and lead. Be the hero of your own story.